Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. All right, y'all. So this reading, it's about I did my nails today, y'all. It's Sunday, kind of like my self-care day, but I did my nails. They're press-ons, but it's okay though. I love them. We'll see how long they last. I haven't done press-ons since I was a little girl. Y'all remember when press-ons, it was like I wasn't allowed to use the glue. I had to use the sticky strips, but the sticky strips would like pop off real quick. So these are big girl press-ons with like this pink gel glue. I got it from Walmart months ago, literally 2024, but I'm just putting them on today. So we'll see how this goes. All right, y'all. So this reading is about emotional healing, but this is like a moment where you almost got trapped. Or not that you almost got trapped, but like somebody thought that they had the potential to trap you in an emotional space that you were already like kind of progressing out of. So the way I'm seeing this reading is we have 7 days in the week. Now, healing is gradual. We're not going to go from like broken to healed in a week or a month. Like it takes time, but it takes awareness and it takes you setting the intention. Like you got to be conscious of it. Y'all, I'm going to be using my hands a lot more in this reading because I did my nails and I think they're pretty, okay? So here's the thing. 5 out of the 7 days, you're like, you know what? Anytime I listen to something, I want it to be in 471 hertz. I'm trying to remove this trauma. I'm trying to remove these blockages. I'm trying to get rid of these negative emotions. So 5 days out of the week, like you're very intentional about what you put in your ear gates. But then there's those other 2 days. You know how sometimes there's something in your environment. You'll go a place, somebody will say something, and it will immediately take you back to an emotional space or a relationship or something that you've shared with another person. You're like, oh, that reminds me of, right? Well, I want you to think that on the 2 days that you weren't listening to the 471 hertz, let's say you were listening to Adele, and you know Adele has a way of putting your heart right back in the same pain that you have just left from, right? Like not intentionally because it's healing, but Adele, okay? So on one of the 2 days out of the week that you listen to your Adele, somebody walks by you, and let's say you're listening to Hello, It's Me. Y'all, I can't sing. I was one. Like, let's say you're listening to that song, right? You're calling somebody out from the past because sometimes that's what your shadow side does. It kind of calls people who have still left a deposit inside of you. So in the process of you listening to your Adele, somebody walks by and they're like, hey, what you listening to? And you're like, oh, it's Adele. I'm listening to Hello. And they're like, oh my God, I love that song. Can you turn it up? So you turn it up, y'all sing it together, you vibe out. Y'all, that was a trap. This is how shadow works. You know, sometimes we're in the process of healing. There will be somebody that enters our space. Not only do they carry a shadow, but they are very comfortable in their shadow. They're so comfortable that they can recognize that you are uncomfortable in certain aspects of your own shadow. But not everybody wants you to progress past your shadow. Not everybody wants you to continue your healing. This reading is telling me that there was somebody that you crossed paths with when you were listening to Adele. They asked you to turn it up, and when you turned it up, they were hoping that you would keep that song on repeat. The reason why they wanted you to keep this song on repeat, because that emotional state that you were in, that would have been a state where they could have a certain level of control. Now here I have the energy of empowerment, and so this is about them being able to control your willpower. This is about you not really having the urge or the confidence to move beyond a certain state. So to begin the reading, it has my shadow is loud. Now, my shadow is loud is you saying that to yourself. You're recognizing like, damn, I got to heal. I got some shit I got to move past. Like, I'm still not over this, right? Which is why 5 days out of the week, you're like, I need to put my mind somewhere else, okay? This person catches you on one of them 2 days when you're in an emotional space. You were in the process of ascending. You knew your shadow was loud. You knew you had some type of negative emotions or some trauma. You knew you needed to move past some shit, right? Now, you're ascending slowly because it's a gradual process. You're going through this emotional healing, but you were at peace. You were satisfied with what your journey looked like, your healing journey. You had no problems with it. Well, it seems like in the process of you moving on from that state, you cross paths with somebody who's essentially a Decepticon. Now in this deck, it is called Deception and Envy, but this would be the Seven of Swords, right? So this is somebody who that prefers you. Instead of listening to Adele 2 days a week, this is somebody that wants you to listen 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. Like their goal is to get you to emotionally live in your shadow so that you are listening to Hello 7 days a week on repeat. Not only do they want you to get stuck there, but the only way they can maintain a space in your life is if you continue to play that song, that frequency, or that vibration. Because if you play that song, that keeps you trapped in an emotional state where they have a certain level of control over you. Now, this person, it almost seems like, and not everybody is always aware of what they're doing to you and why they're doing it. A lot of people carry entities and all kind of attachments. This is giving me a person that was absolutely aware. I say that I know that they are aware because we have the energy of them wanting to plant a seed. When they plant a seed, it says that they have planted a seed of death magic. Well, where did they plant the seed inside of you energetically? They planted a seed of death magic in your ability to feel empowered. Now, although they planted the seed in your solar plexus, they were really coming after your crown chakra. Listen, in order to elevate, in order to ascend, it's almost like the quality of your thoughts. The quality of your thoughts need to reflect something higher. But if you listen to Adele, it takes you back to a lower state or a lesser version of self where you called out to people of the past or you couldn't heal, you couldn't move on, right? So somebody is essentially attacking your crown chakra, but they're doing it through your solar plexus. One of my handmade cards, it says excess focus on the first 3 chakras, analysis paralysis. Think about the song Hello. It's been years. Why do you need to know if somebody is still thinking about you? Why are you calling somebody from the past? But sometimes our shadow takes years to move past certain people, places, and things. It just does. This is somebody that wanted you to live in that moment of never being able to go beyond one relationship or one emotion to the next. So they wanted you stuck in analysis paralysis, trapped in those lower 3 chakras, misusing your power, misusing your emotions, and feeling unstable as a result of it. So it says not taking action on your life's purpose. Listen, your life's purpose is not to be playing Hello and singing them lyrics every day. That is not your life's purpose. But in order for this person to have control over you, you would have had to have been stuck in that state, playing songs that are similar to that. And it's really not about the song, it's about the thoughts, the quality of thoughts that that song kind of puts in your consciousness. It doesn't reflect an ascended mind. It doesn't reflect a mind that is empowered or enlightened. In the center of the reading, we have one of our handmade cards. We've gotten this one before. It says if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more costly the return trip is. All right. So now you used to listen to Adele 2 days a week. When this Decepticon comes into your life, all of a sudden you're listening to it for 3 days. Then you're listening to an Adele for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. Now, before you know it, you're listening to Adele 7 days a week. Right? Now think about how you started before you crossed paths with this person, right? You were more often than not listening to healing frequencies because you were attempting to purge those situations from your energetic body. This person wants to get you stuck, but why do they want to get you stuck? I have spiritual awakening. Sometimes when we talk about spiritual awakening, we really need to ask people which one, because we have multiple. Every time something unlocks in us, it almost allows us to experience a spiritual awakening. But some of our lives, our entire life is an initiation for some of us, right? And so a spiritual awakening, it's not a one-time thing. It is something that happens again and again every time you unlock a new code, every time you unlock a new level. So in the center of the reading, it's almost like when this person enters your life, they want you to get on the wrong train. That would have been the train of emotional pain. Now you were on the train called emotional healing. You hang out with this person. They ask you to turn the music up. Now y'all are singing it together. Now you've gotten on the wrong train, but they don't want you to turn the song down. They don't want you to turn the song off. They want you to play it again and again and again, because as long as you play it, they can exist in your space and have a level of control over your power, your confidence, your will, your strength, your ability to move on, your ability to ascend and move beyond certain situations. Now, here's the thing. This next spiritual awakening, this person entered your life right before you were supposed to enter a spiritual awakening that would have put you on the path of gaining actual money, right? It's almost like you were about to, if you could have got over this last emotional hurdle, you would have total power over your chakras. No longer would your energy have been scattered in emotional states, right? Like you wouldn't have been grieving and mourning and regretting. Now, this person plants a seed because they want to mess up your fate. You know, fate is not something random. You know, sometimes we say coincidences, there's no such thing as them, right? And so if you have been intentionally trying to heal your emotions, it is going to take you to a certain space in life. Well, let's imagine that you are finally going to get a space where you are going to manifest abundance. Now, maybe you couldn't really manifest abundance before because a lot of your energy was scattered emotionally. You were giving a lot of your power away to people and places of things of the past that were still taking up residency. But when you get a spiritual awakening, it's almost like you have evicted all these emotions. You've evicted these people out of your mind. You no longer live in past scenarios. And so now you can get new people to move in. When I say new people, I mean like you have vacancy. Your crown chakra finally has vacancies. And so it could be people, places, and things, or it could just be downloads. It could be spiritual enlightenment and truth and ancient knowledge and wisdom. But it's like something had to move into you that was higher, but you had to evict something that was old and low vibrationally. So this person comes in because they want to mess up your fate. They want you to get a wrong train, but they want you to get on the wrong train and stay on that train as long as possible because they understand what is coming ahead. Not only that, but it's like they plant a seed of death magic. This is somebody that came in wearing a mask from the jump. They came in, they knew your shadow, and then they also understood that their shadow was something that they made peace with. They didn't want to leave their shadow. They were fine with it, right? So I don't know, you know, when I get energies like this, oftentimes in my own experience, I don't mean to always be paranoid, but I know a lot of people that enter my life are going to be sent, right? And it's almost like the closer I get to unlocking a new level, I definitely know somebody's coming in that is sent. Like I've kind of figured out the pattern of how these things work, at least for me personally, okay? And when I say sent, I don't mean that like somebody in my physical world has to literally be like, go distract her, she's almost there. Sometimes it is just because my frequency and my vibration changed. And then we're talking about entities and we're talking about spirits and we're talking about like bloodline battles. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us, our entry into earth, it was anticipated. Like spiritually speaking, we have come here to break curses off of our lineage. And so people have been waiting for us to get here. They waited for us to walk. They waited for us to talk. They waited for us to wake up to know who we were. And as soon as you wake up, it's game time. But it really has always been game time because a lot of our lives have been initiating us for these final battles. So nonetheless, this is essentially like somebody comes in, but you had already fought a lot of battles. But they're coming in order to get you to keep playing a certain song, a frequency, a vibration, or a sound. And they wanted you to play it as long as possible because energetically they could literally suck and siphon the power out of your solar plexus. Here's the thing, I have the energy of purification and I also have the energy of protection. So purification is you essentially being like, oh my God, I'm listening to Adele for a week. Oh, I'm going to listen to it for 6 days. All right, cool. I'm going to go down to 5. I'm going to go down to 4, right? Now you're trying to get back to where you were when you first met this person, right? And so you're purifying yourself. You're ridding yourself of those thoughts, those emotions, those scenarios. And so when you're purifying, you are cleaning, you are bathing yourself. This is how you become unbeatable. When you clean your energy, when nobody can no longer come in and link to you. The fact that you were still using your shadow about 2 days a week meant that there was some type of portal. There was some type of opening in order to access you. Okay? And so when you purify, you essentially narrow the playing field for people to be able to get into your energetic space. This reading says you keep, this is one of my handmade cards. Now, this could have been a relationship. If it wasn't a relationship, this is somebody that you had love for. This is somebody that emotionally you let them in. Y'all, this could be a family member. This could be a coworker. This could be somebody that you poured your heart and space, like you shared space with, but like you poured your heart, like they knew something about your emotional state. But for some reason, they would have benefited off of you energetically being stuck in a past time period or version of self. Excuse me, my card says you keep forgiving someone until you unlove them. You keep forgiving someone until you unlove them. You know, somebody asked me, and this is somebody that like I was like considering like dating or like, you know, kind of getting serious with. And it was just like I don't like to say the same thing too many times, and I'm not a complainer, right? And so if things are moving a certain way and it just doesn't fit my style, it doesn't fit my vibe, like I'll tell you, we'll talk about it, but like you're not my child. So I don't feel like I have to keep correcting or asking for something to be changed. We're all grown and we all have free will. And so if I bring up something and it seems like it's too hard for you to make that adjustment, then I will just imagine in my mind, then it's probably because we are not compatible, right? So I stepped away from somebody, went silent because I've already made up my mind. Well, you know, when people start to cycle back and call and text, I already know what that is. But again, I don't play Adele anymore. So I'm sorry, but like there's no song that you and I can listen to together. And when I say song, I mean like there's no frequency, there's no vibration that we can share. And so if I didn't know if were compatible before, like I definitely know we're not compatible now because I stepped away. So in the process of talking to this person, so I used to block people a lot, but I felt like when I blocked people, it didn't really allow me to know whether or not I was using my willpower. Like, if you can't even call me, I don't know if I'm strong enough not to answer, right? So like some people just need to get blocked, like they just need it. But then other people, I want to know if I'm really, like, I guess it's a way for me to test myself. Like, can you call and can you text and can I just not respond? Like, am I really at that space? Once I show myself that I'm really at that space, then I can block you. But before, I just felt like it was a response. And I didn't even acknowledge if I really wanted to block them. It was like, I knew I should do it physically, even if emotionally I wasn't in that space, right? So I didn't block this person. This person reaches out to me, still same person. And in the process of talking, they were like, you hate me, don't you? And like, I almost felt like they wanted me to hate them because it would have meant that I reserved an emotion for them, even if it wasn't a positive one. It was almost like they wanted me to reserve a space for them, whether I liked them or not. Just attaching an emotion to them was enough for them to have access. And I'm like, no, like, I don't have time to hate you. Like, I literally would have to schedule time in order to keep that emotion alive, right? And so I nothing you. Like literally, I don't like you, I don't love you, I don't hate you, I literally nothing you. Like there's nothing there. And that wasn't out of disrespect. I didn't say that to them, but I literally said, no, I can't afford to hate you because I can't spend my time that way. But this card says you keep forgiving someone until you unlove them. That's some cold shit. So I will forgive you, but when I no longer have love for you, I don't even need the energy to forgive you. I just nothing you. So this says at some point you went through a period of rest and rejuvenation, right? The same spiritual awakening that this person was trying to plant a seed of death magic in order to stop. You essentially went through the spiritual awakening because you got off of the train. You were like, oh my God, I used to play Adele 2 days a week. Now I'm playing it 6 and 7 days a week. I got to get off of this train. I'm going backwards. So then you start working your way back, turning off that music. And now this person is losing power. And so it almost says when they enter again, it's just like, no, we're like, I don't even play that music anymore. Like Adele who? Like, I'm sorry. What was that? You know, that's kind of the energy I'm getting from this. So at the same time that you start to emotionally purify, I want you to imagine that your protection level increases. Okay. And so the more Adele you play, the lower your protection is because you were opening the gate. You were expanding your shadow, which allows a lot more energies to kind of access you. But when you narrow the playing field, it's like your protection, like your protection is everything around my hands, right? But when you play it, it goes like this. When you start to turn down those vibrations, those frequencies, those thoughts, it goes like this, right? So now you're protected. Now, anybody that accesses you, they have to be able to get between your hands. Fine. This reading says that this person is overwhelmed. They are overloaded. They are dealing with some type of excess. They're exhausted because they can't make it here. Now, when you were at 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, oh, they could get to you quite easy. But now that you turn that shit off and you adjusted your energy, now it's like, how the hell am I going to get in there? But you've gone through a period of rest and rejuvenation. This could have been somebody that you loved. Maybe you forgave them again and again and again and again, but you've unloved them, which essentially means I have nothing, I have no energy attached to you. I have no emotion. I have no thought. I nothing you, right? I nothing you. So the reading ends with you recognizing that this person represented a rite of passage, meaning this person was always going to appear right before you unlocked abundance. As soon as you kind of fixed your posture energetically, as soon as you aligned your chakras, this person was going to make sure, not that they were conscious of it, but they were going to make sure that you said you really were who you were, meaning they were going to test you, right? Now, this is somebody that may have done a love spell. This is somebody that maybe they didn't want you to move on. They didn't want you to change the song. They didn't want you to heal. They didn't want you to grow because they understood if you did, they have no room. They will forever be evicted. So I get the energy of prosperity. In this deck, it says prosperity begins, but this is the card for the Ace of Pentacles. So this person would have held up your money. They would have held up your finances. They would have held up your growth. Like, this would have been the person. So listen, if there was somebody in your life that you talked to, you tolerated with, you kicked it with, even if it wasn't something consistent, this was the person that was kind of slowing down your change. This was the person that like wasn't really allowing you to turn over that new leaf, whether you knew it or not, energetically, just by having them in your space. It distorted your ability to call in abundance with your power because your power was being siphoned elsewhere. One of my handmade cards, it says we are products of our past, but we don't have to be prisoners to it. So this is somebody that wanted you to be a prisoner to your past. Again, it doesn't have to be someone you dated, but it could have been a person that was a prisoner to their past. They didn't know how to grow. They didn't know how to heal. And sometimes misery loves company. And if you're not as miserable as them, sometimes people like your company, but they prefer you to vibe a different way. So you may have evidence, or you may have found proof that there was some type of love spell that this person did. Now, I talked about them planting a seed of death magic, right? The death magic is because they were a Decepticon. They were a liar. This is somebody that I felt already had some type of agenda. They pegged you as being one way, but the way that you were when they first met you, you weren't really easy to control. You weren't really easy to manipulate. And so in order to make you more palatable for them, they almost had to change your frequency. And it could have been something as simple as songs or music, or picking up a habit that you used to have but you put down, but now you're dealing with them and you pick up a habit again. It could have been anything. You know, sometimes when people are inconsistent in terms of a relationship, when people are inconsistent in their behavior or how they show up in your life, sometimes it's like because they're wanting you to overcommit to something that they are barely pouring into. So I've got love spell and I've got death magic. So when you started to play those frequencies and those songs less and less, your protection got greater and greater. And so now this person is overwhelmed trying to get back into your space because there's no more forgiveness to offer them because you have no emotion or love assigned to them anymore. Okay, y'all. So now we're going to clarify. I'm going to use this deck. So the first card I'm going to pull is going to clarify my shadow is loud. My shadow is loud. This card, it says magic of the nymphs. So listen, even if you were playing Adele 2 days a week. Now, I looked up the meaning of nymphs and magic of the nymphs. This talks about like you being in the process of growing into your God or goddess body. It's like you were going into your God mode, and so you already had a level of protection. You were vulnerable, you were sensitive. And oftentimes this is where people try to come in. They don't really want us to get locked and loaded into our new form. They want to come in where we're still shifting and changing. But this says, even though you could have still have shown aspects of your shadow, like they were still showing up in your physical world, you had a level of protection, even around your shadow side. You were already ascending. You were already going through your emotional healing, even if you still had them 2 days a week that you kind of crashed out. The next card I'm going to clarify is the card about analysis paralysis. This is about your crown chakra, right? Like, if we are going through analysis paralysis, like, we really can't allow anything new to move into our mind, because we have to evict all of the things that are mentally keeping us trapped. Some people try to keep you mentally trapped by keeping you emotionally stuck. All right. It's giving me the energy of, like, you know, you've already broken up with this person, but every time you talk to them, they remind you of everything you did wrong in the relationship. And it's like, yo, we dated like 5 or 10 years ago. Why do you talk to me about this every time? It's because they want to keep your mind trapped in some type of web. They want you to continue on this loop. As long as they can still keep vacant, as long as they can keep space, as long as they can still keep your thoughts occupied on certain things, other new higher vibrational things cannot move in mentally. And so this is somebody who wants to always make sure that they are a tenant. They never want to get evicted. And so in order to make sure that you are never able to evict them, they always have to, you know. All right, so it says expecting, waiting, hoping. So this is somebody who planted a seed in order to disempower you, and they were expecting and waiting on for your mind to be locked on them, right? And so now they're waiting for you to call. They're waiting for you to text, right? They're waiting for you to sing hello to them, right? They're wondering, they are wanting you to call, text, write, email, and ask, are you thinking of me? Why didn't you call me? Like, that is what they were waiting for you to do to them. The next card I'm going to clarify is, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more costly the return trip is. Now, this is coming out on top of the wrong train. It says, not a part of the plan, avoiding problems, try something new, unexpected path, abandoned danger. Listen, at some point you may have recognized, like, who or what is in my life that is impacting me. Now, this is coming out with actual money. So if your money, your finance, your abundance, your ideas, your creativity, like if something was growing and then all of a sudden it started to slow up, you may have recognized, I got on the wrong train. Is it a person? Is it a thing? Is it a habit? Is it a thought or behavior? Like, what did I pick up, or where did I energetically go with my own frequency? Because something in my life is changing. Something in my life isn't growing, right? I put in 5 days a week of healing, but right now I'm not seeing the impacts of that. So you getting off of the train, and be like, I'm not playing Adele. I don't want to play Adele anymore. I'm not doing it. That was not a part of the plan. You were never supposed to turn on. I love Adele. So like, I don't want this reading to come out any other kind of way. Like, I love Adele, which is why I'm using it, because emotionally I'm connected to that music. It was not a part of the plan for you to get off the train. It was not a part of the plan for you to turn off Adele and to no longer play those type of energetic songs. The next card I'm going to clarify, it says, you keep forgiving someone until you unlove them. So remember the seed of black magic, solar plexus coming after your power, so you don't have the power to move on. Somebody thought that you would always have space for them. Somebody thought that you would always love them. You know how they say there's a thin line between love and hate? So when that person asks me, do you hate me? The reality is they just wanted me to something them. As long as I something them, it meant that they still had space. So it says the evil entity has left, returned to sender, breaking a curse, black magic failed. The reason why you can't forgive them is because there's nothing to forgive. There is nothing. Who are you? Not in a rude or disrespectful way, but like energetically, you just couldn't even locate them anymore inside of your being. And why was that? Because the protection. Right? You were listening to it for 7 days, 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Now you're fully protected. So there's nobody that can access you that is carrying that type of energy anymore. And so when they planted the seed, it was to keep you bound emotionally, to keep your power locked in, to keep your thoughts, to keep all of your direction going towards them. That's nasty business. The last card I'm going to pull is going to clarify, we are products of our past. but we don't have to be prisoners to it. That's a quote by Rick Warren. Rick Warren. Rick Warren. Oh, they don't like this. Look, raged and confused. And so the fact that you are not a prisoner of your past, right? You recognize what you've been through, but you're not there. You're not there in mind. You're not there in emotion. Definitely not in body, and not in spirit. And so this person is mad because this means that the love spell is not working, right? Maybe love spells don't work on you. This person is coming out as raged and confused. They were your rite of passage. Maybe they didn't understand that they tried to test you, but they were very much a test for you that you had to pass. You were going to pass. All right, the next card I'm going to pull to clarify is going to be Tarot, Intuitive Kev's Tarot. So the first card I'm going to pull is kind of moving on. This is the energy you were in when you met this person. You were already in the process of emotionally moving on from people, places, and things that would have benefited you from being a person who has analysis paralysis. These are the people that didn't want you to tap into your life's purpose. So the first card I'm going to pull is going to clarify moving on. In this deck, it's called Moving On, but it really is the Six of Swords. And so this is King of Pentacles. So the person so there's two things. Either the person that did this to you could have come out in the King of Pentacles. This could be a woman, even though it says king. This is somebody that very much put a lot of stock and a lot of value into their physical world. So we're talking about money, we're talking about materials, we're talking about status and privilege. You could have been moved on from this type of person, right? Or this is the type of person that enters your life. So if somebody wants you to be emotionally stuck on them, this is somebody that could have valued the physical aesthetics of themselves and maybe you, but they recognize that like emotionally you weren't giving them enough, and so maybe they wanted to have more power in your life, and so the best thing they could do was to do death magic. All right, the next card I'm going to pull is going to come out on top of Deception and Envy, which is the Seven of Swords in traditional tarot. I had a lot turnover. So we have the King of Cups. Yes, see, these are two people side by side. So here's the thing. There's a King of Pentacles that you moved on from. Now, this could be a cycle. This could be somebody that left and came back, left and came back. So when they were in your life in the first time, they came back as somebody who was like all about materials. Maybe they didn't think you stacked up to them in the physical world. So now when they come back, they're wearing a mask. Now they're coming up as a King of Cups, somebody who's loving and caring and nurturing and attentive. It could have been the same person, but they were like, damn, I'm gonna just change my mask. But this time when I come back, I'm gonna come back as a lover boy, right? But the reality is I'm gonna come back as a lover boy because I'm gonna plant a seed of death magic. This time I'm just going to take your power away, right? You walked away from me, or you moved away from me too easy. And the reason why you may have moved away is because like, I don't give a fuck about your money. I don't care about your job. I don't care about your car. Like, what's your character like? Like, who are you at your core? And so it's like they recognize what you liked, but they really didn't know how to be that. So maybe they felt like if they could just distort or alter your energy using some type of spell, curse, or magic, it's almost like they wanted to package you in a way that made them feel good about themselves. Maybe you didn't honor them enough. Maybe they felt like don't you see my job? Don't you see my car? I'm kind of getting that energy. So it's either you moved on from somebody who was all about money, and then they came back as if they were all about love, or you moved on from somebody who was all about money, and then another person comes into your life and they act like they're all about love, but no, they're not. The next card that comes out is going to clarify crown chakra. Two of Swords. This is what they wanted to do to your crown chakra. This is what, right? If you were playing hello 5 or more days out of the week, you can't make a decision, you're confused, right? They wanted you on the wrong train so that you would be like this in your mind, not being able to decide, definitely not fit for no spiritual awakening. Absolutely not, right? But the fact that you got off of the train, you recognize, why can't I think? Why am I stuck in analysis paralysis? why do I keep replaying the situation? Why do I keep allowing you in? This is somebody that could have like been coming back, leaving, coming back, leaving. Somebody who was inconsistent, but that was intentional. Maybe they were coming back to see if the spell work dropped. All right, the next card I'm going to pull is going to come out on rest and rejuvenate. Rest and rejuvenate is the Four of Swords. That's like your ability to heal, take a step back. Nine of Cups. So listen, when they come back, this is you. And they're like, oh shit, like, you don't love me? You're not mad? You don't hate me? No, I nothing you. Have a good day, sir. Right? And it was in that moment that they recognized that the curse had broken, the black magic failed, and the spell didn't work. The entity is gone because you were just chilling, you were content, and you were fulfilled in your own energy. And why? It's because you weren't listening anymore. You closed the gap. They couldn't get in. The entity can't listen. The entity can't get through here, but the entity can get through here. All right. The final card I'm going to pull is going to come out on Prosperity Begins, which is the Ace of Pentacles in traditional tarot. So this was your rite of passage that you had to, this was a test you had to pass in order to really bring in abundance. And the thing is, it's like this. The Most High is like, listen, if I unlock your abundance, but then you cross paths with somebody who plays with your mind, heart, and spirit, you're just going to piss it away. You're going to cry it away. You're going to, you know what I mean? Like, I need to know that you understand how to protect your power emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I need to know that you understand how to protect yourself, right? Because your money is attached to your emotion. Your money is attached to your mind. Listen, everything is attached. You are one system. And if you have a leakage anywhere, it can impact you. Okay, so the next card I'm going to pull is going to clarify Prosperity Begins. Listen, and so now you're in the situation. First of all, they are raged and confused that you were calling in. Like, how are you getting? This is money. This is gifts. This is giving and taking. This is being balanced in your ability to give and receive. Like, there's a nice flow in your life. And so this person is mad about that because they understand if this happened, then the love spell. This is somebody who wanted to attack your money, but they also wanted to attack your mind. They wanted to attack your power, your personal power by way of your solar plexus. Who is this guy? On the bottom of the deck, it has Emperor. Now, an Emperor could be a father. It could be the father of a child. I don't like this. Yeah, so you're in fulfillment. Your prosperity has begun because you've healed not only from this person, but from the energy that you were already healing from when you first met this person. I just want to say we had Emperor at the bottom of the deck. And in this reading, we had the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups. This could be a team of three, right? You jumped over one hurdle, so they tap in their friend and they're like, go get her. But this time you better wear a mask that looks like you're in love. So then he comes back wearing the love mask and you're like, I'm over that. I turned off Adele. I'm not looking for love. But yeah, I'm looking for consistency. You know, they can't offer consistency either, right? So this could be three people. This could be somebody who just switched their mask each time. I don't know, but we have three. We have an Emperor, a King of Cups, and a King of Pentacles. And it seems like everybody got shut down because you have already gone through the rite of passage. You are a product of your past, but you are not a prisoner of your past. You're in the season of prosperity and your flow of abundance, right? When you were singing and living in that emotional state, you were leaking a lot of power. You don't leak power anymore. All right, y'all. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.